Module 4, Create a Balanced Life. We so appreciate your commitment to this course. We know schedules are crammed and deadlines are looming, so the fact that you've invested the time to get to this point in the course says a lot about you. Thanks so much. And that leads us into this next topic, how to create a balanced life. It's something we all want, but if we're honest, we probably all feel like we fall short of it. This has been a big focus for Nick, so in this module, he's going to guide us through his own thinking when it comes to a balanced life. Things like establishing an accurate definition of what a balanced life looks like in the first place, how to own your time and not let it own you, and how to make time for what's the most important in your life. The time you spend learning from this module and applying its principles will have a monumental effect on how you spend your time in the weeks, months, and even years to come. Let's dig into Module 4, Create a Balanced Life.
So far in this course, I've talked a lot about how to rise above your normal way of thinking, of living, and experience success and results in a new way in every area of your life. I've talked about the importance of changing your mindset and overcoming obstacles. I've talked about setting and achieving goals. Basically, we've talked a lot about adjustments to make on the way to where you're going. But what happens when you actually accomplish some of your goals? When you overcome those fears? Yes, there's joy and happiness in the accomplishment itself, but every accomplishment introduces you to new realities. And every stage of life has its own changes that you must consider. This makes finding balance in your life an ongoing challenge. Every single day, so many things are battling for your time and attention. Many of them are good things, some are bad things. But as you grow and mature, you should realize you must reserve your time for the best things as often as possible. And this is where developing the ability to shape a balanced life is so crucial. And that's what I want to share with you in this module. For me, I was so focused on achieving goals in my life and amazing blessing of getting married to Kanae, and then here I am, I'm like, hey, well, I do still want to reach the world, and here we come with a little baby boy. Oh my goodness, did that change and stop our worlds? All of a sudden, I felt like my life was a freight train running 400 miles an hour, and you lock the brakes for a long time, it skids for a long time before it actually slows down. That was the experience that I had when I'm like, okay, I know that I'm not a bachelor and I'm married, but now married with one child is a totally different world. And it gave me that desperation and even that pain I used to push me forward intentionally in making sure that my biggest goal was to find that new, created, balanced life. Nick's life's different. So the balance has to be different. And until you're actually intentional and focused about it, you'll never get there. Surprisingly enough, I felt like I was doing an okay job, and by the grace of my wife, she was patient, she was strong, and she could see that I was trying. But guess what? The second child came along, and I'm thinking, well, we already have a child. How bad can a second child be? No way. It's like double down, baby. Now you got two hands full. I want you to know that I had to do another recalibration because Nick's wife, Nick's first son, Nick's second son, we all need Nick's time. And Nick wants his time to be shared with all of them. Family is most important, right next to my faith. And for me, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, I had to force myself to find the new created balanced life and that pace. I've been inspired by many people all around the world, but I'm most inspired by those people who find the balanced life. What is a balanced life? In one way, it's a life that is well-rounded and grounded in a way that can withstand and process all the stress that life throws at you. I hate stress. I really do. And I bet you do too. But it's all around us, isn't it? Stress shows up when those unexpected, uncontrollable times of life hit. It really puts your world in a spin. You can't often think straight and make good decisions. Stress puts you in a defensive posture and in a mode of reacting. It comes out in your personality as well when you're stressed in the way that you feel. For me, when my life is stressed, everyone feels it. I don't hide it very well. How about you? In a nutshell, stress is what an out of balance life feels like. I don't know about you, but I want to do everything I can do to live a balanced life. From time to time, I go through seasons of life where I feel like more responsibility falls on me than I wish. I feel overwhelmed, completely stressed out. As you can imagine, I typically have no one else to blame but myself. But it still happens. I bet you go through those seasons too. I want you to start seeing these seasons as a good thing. Wait, what, Nick? That's probably what just went through your head, right? Why would being stressed be a good thing? It's good because it's an obvious reminder that you need to take a step back and take a look at things. Anytime your stress level comes up, your emotions are running high, or you start feeling tired and burnt out, that's a good time to stop. Call a timeout and see what you can change. At the end of the day, a balanced life requires adjustments on a regular basis. Remember, you can't change much about what happens all around you, but you can change how you respond to it all. A balanced life is something to fight for, believe it or not. That's the biggest fight for anyone, I believe, to find that balance and that happiness. It's so much more important than money itself because money doesn't fulfill anything. It supports other things, but it doesn't give you a happy life. So to create a balanced life overall, you need to know, what does it look like for me to live a happy life? One where I get to pursue those things that are important to me while I'll also pursue and fully enjoy relationships with the people that are most important to me. In order to do that, you have to be the owner of your time. You must truly own it. It's so easy to think other people and other circumstances have say over how you spend your time. But to achieve balance, you have to take responsibility and you have to initiate the process. How do you spend your time? Write it down. Look at your calendar or just jot it down on a piece of paper. How much of your time was spent doing the things you think are important? How much of your time was spent doing what other people told you was important? How much time are you wasting? How much time are you personally choosing to spend on things that actually don't mean that much at all? Look, don't get me wrong here, but how you use your time will always be influenced by other people in some way. And I'm not saying to be totally selfish. The key, though, is choosing which people get to do that and to what degree. My family determines how I spend a lot of my time, but that's okay because that's what's important to me. Bosses, co-workers, and friends can all require your time too, and that's okay. But the key for me is to identify the time I'm spending and make sure it's appropriate for the balanced life I want and that I'm ultimately responsible for what's happening. Look, you may feel like you don't have much control over how you spend your time, and I totally get that. But I want you to go through this exercise anyway. Yes, honestly, analyze every hour of every day and see where your time goes. Assess your situation in black and white, and I bet some interesting things will start to reveal themselves. As you begin to truly own your time, and as you look at your schedule through the lens of true responsibility, it will prompt you to make some changes and rethink some things. Here are some questions I ask myself when I'm trying to keep my life in balance and truly own my time. The first question: what am I doing now that I should stop doing? This is always a powerful question, and it's one you may not want to answer. It may require you to let go of some things you've gotten used to, and maybe even good things. What are those things, though, that are getting in the way of great for you? What is taking up too much of your time? It may be the non-essentials of life, like TV or video games. Hey, I watch TV, and everyone needs to be able to relax a little. But sometimes hours are just wasted away staring at a screen. Maybe you're overcommitted in your extracurricular activities. Maybe there are parts of your job that you should hand off or just stop doing. I found the answers to this question typically come quickly. It's your ability to act on those answers that can be more difficult. But if you do, and if you take back control over your time, you can spend more time on the things that are more important to you, like your goals. This will greatly contribute to your overall happiness. Another great question to ask yourself is, where should I slow down a little? The pace of your life and the amount of stuff that you're cramming into your schedule can be very harmful. Even if your schedule is packed with lots of good stuff, the lack of margin can push your life out of balance. When you find some spare time, don't get crazy trying to fill it. Slow down and simply receive and enjoy the moment. Give your mind and body a rest so it can be prepared for whatever is coming next. The next question is one of my favorites. What am I doing that someone else can do for me? This type of thinking goes to a whole new level. When you truly start owning your time, you quickly realize you only have a finite amount of it. So sometimes the best decision you can make is to let someone else do things for you. Maybe there are things you don't enjoy doing that take up too much of your time. Maybe it's something you're good at or enjoy doing, but it's also something someone else could do faster and cheaper. The amount of time it would free up for you may be more valuable than the time spent doing those things. You see, it's a trade-off. In some cases, people will do things for you for free. In others, you'll need to pay them. But if you value the balance in your life, it can totally be worth it. If I was gardening, let's say it took 4 hours of my time a week, is it worth paying someone for their 4 hours to do the same job? That 4 hours could then be spent as 2 extra quality hours with my family and 2 hours working on my goals. Or 4 hours working on the goal that's going to give me 20 more quality hours with my family down the line. You need to weigh what it is costing you by not letting it go. If you've never thought about how you can get others to do things for you, this may be the best next step you can take toward living a balanced life. The real point here is to identify those things that only you can do or should do, and give as much time to those things as you can. Then offload as much of the other tasks in your life because they're only going to get in the way of being balanced and focused on your purpose. Will you be able to get rid of all those things? Probably not, but that's not really the point. Even handing off one task that saves you an hour a week can have a monumental impact on the balance in your life. Of course, there are certain things that only I can do, so I must make time for these items. Only I can be a husband to my wife. Only I can be a father to my children. Only I can speak to the audiences who feature me at their events. These are not the tasks I can delegate. It's important to identify what I can hand off to someone else so I can focus more on these items that only I can do. Next, figure out where you should start investing more of your time. Sometimes this feels like a leap of faith, especially when you've never done it before. What things can you concentrate on with the highest percentage of your time that will lead you to achieve your goals? Where can you double down on your time? Where can you start investing an hour of work a day? Or maybe 2 hours? or maybe even 4. How you invest your time has the most significant impact on your life, even more so than financial investments. When you truly own your time, you start to appreciate the present so much more. I've already talked about how much I hate stress. One of the worst stresses is constantly thinking about what's next. Does this happen to you? Do you get to where you were going only to start thinking about where you're going next immediately? You never get to enjoy where you are because you're constantly looking ahead to where you want to be. When you finally do own your time, you set yourself up to enjoy the present more than ever. As you can see, you must take on the attitude of owning your time. You must be greedy with your time because time is everything. Creating a balanced life isn't about doing everything at once to the same degree. It's recognizing the different seasons of life and making sure you allocate your time in a way that works well in that season while still keeping your equilibrium. There are times I must travel and spend time away from my family, so I schedule time to truly focus on my family when I am home. During these times of travel, I still need to set aside time to connect over the phone or on video calls with my family while I'm gone. There are other times when the best way for me to serve my family is to focus on a major investment or a major project. That's what balance looks like. Not spending 8 hours at work, 8 hours sleeping, 8 hours with my family. You know as well as I do that life simply doesn't work that way. As you work through your priorities and your dreams and goals, keep an eye on how much time and attention you sacrifice to provide for your family without sacrificing your family altogether. Too many people, men especially, have detached themselves from the very families they are trying to provide for just to earn money and live in a great home. But they may never spend any time with their family at the end of the day. If you think about it, they'd be much better off living a more humble lifestyle, but living it together as a true family. Maybe you will have to embrace a season where it gets busier than normal. It does get crazy. Your time with family isn't what it used to be at other times. But you must strive and fight for that balance and be jealous of that time because I know that life is precious and I know you value yours as well. I look back at my dad who recently passed away from cancer at 62 years old. I look at who he was and how he loved people. There were times he had 3 jobs, started a church, served as a lay pastor, and counseled many people. He dealt with so many different issues, including a disabled son, and yet he always found a way to make us feel important as kids. He invested time to sit with us, play with us, and read books and talk about faith and life. He figured out that balance for him. It's also important to prioritize your personal time, that time that you reserve to be alone, to collect yourself and just reflect. I made my own man cave at my home where I can be away from the kids for a bit and enjoy some personal space. I can listen to music, go for walks, or just sit and think. Especially when I've come home from being on the road for 2 weeks, it's important to have that opportunity to just rest in my own headspace mentally and spiritually and collect my thoughts. It's so important to invest time to recalibrate. This looks different for everyone. For some, 15 minutes every morning is all they need. For others, they need to go away for a half a day every month or so. For others that I've met, they get away for a full weekend once or twice a year. And it may even be a mix of all those things for you. The most important question for you today is, are you carving out time for yourself? I can promise you it's an investment that has a wonderful return. When you can stay clear on who you are, what you were created to do, who you serve, and where you're going, It's a huge service to everyone in your life. You become the best version of yourself, and everyone appreciates that, especially you. If you can't find the time for it, put it into your schedule, and I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did. As you reflect, be aware of what balance looks like in your life. Try to define it. Write it down, and after you write it down, take a good look at it. What does that feel like? Does it feel good? Isn't it worth fighting for? I like to remind myself of where I've been and reflect on where we're going as a family. But really, I must focus the most on making sure that all the most important things are intact and in sync with my actions. If they're not, then I must address it. You must continue to be honest with yourself. You can only hide for so long. You can only be empty for so long before you completely collapse. You aren't meant to live a completely one-sided life. You are a mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional being. These are all the factors and gauges on our dashboard, just like in a car. The gas gauge isn't the only gauge we pay attention to in our cars. There's the oil, the brake fluid, and coolant, and so many other components for the car to run well and properly. You're the same way. You're a complex and well-rounded person. Live a balanced life that fulfills you on every level and not just one. The very fact that you're participating in this course means that you want to accomplish even more in life. And I'm the same way. I think that's awesome. But I've learned along the way that accomplishing a balanced life may be the most important accomplishment of them all. Yes, you can do something amazing and do crazy awesome things in your life, but if it leads to a lopsided and lacking life filled with empty relationships, then what's that really worth? To truly rise above, you must live an abundant, overflowing life at every level. Pursue happiness, because if you don't have happiness, you really have nothing. That's my goal for myself and my hope for you.
Feel challenged to own your time and live a more balanced life? Good. That's exactly what we're going for. Take a look at the worksheet. We've provided some helpful fill-in-the-blank exercises to help you process what a balanced life can look like for you. Have you ever completed a time audit? I want to challenge you to do this, and we've given you a simple grid to use in the worksheet. You'll be surprised at just how much time you spend on certain things and not on others. The what can I and should I change exercise is a powerful one that will quickly reveal some areas where you can immediately make a switch, especially in light of what the time audit will uncover about how you're currently investing your time. Let's not stop there though. Let's figure out how you should start spending your time moving forward. That's what the time reinvestment section is all about. You're more than halfway done with the course. That's quite impressive and we're so proud of you. Don't stop now. Complete the worksheet for this module and then gear up for Module 5 as soon as you can. Thanks for completing Module 4, Create a Balanced Life.